Welcome to I'm Loving Life podcast with A&T Mechanical. We're going deep. We're going 4 deep today. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
But the main attraction, we have our A1 technician here, Clint. What's up?
Hello. How is everybody?
You want to give a shout out to the one and only?
Hi, sweetie. I love you.
There we go. Never be some brownie points. Come
That's
on.
right.
So she listens to all the time, so that's definitely a good reason to be on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Her whole office listens.
Oh, shout out. Do you want to shout out the office? Can we shout out the office, or is that too much?
I'm sure we can.
Okay, let's
It's
say it.
Tedmore Auto Group.
Let's go.
There you
Well
go.
done.
Way to go.
Love the group.
Thank you,
Love the
guys.
group. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. So we're going to talk a little bit today. Hopefully we'll learn a lot. I know we have Jessica and Tim here. So we're
What's
gonna
up?
throw a little.
We're on the same mic.
I know and you get to
they'll
see it on video too.
They'll see it.
So
Hey, some people just listen, Tim.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know?
That's true.
yeah,
people do.
if you're driving, just see two people
Oh,
together.
y'all don't watch it on YouTube?
Well, we're YouTube.
Sorry.
It's out there.
Apologize.
Hey, can you
I listen
subscribe
to
to
it between
this?
calls.
Huh?
I listen to it between calls.
See, and now we got a really good looking guy on here. So
Wow.
now we're really going
So can you subscribe to this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
on YouTube.
I don't know.
Anywhere. You can follow it anywhere.
Oh.
My man's got it.
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify.
But it's the
Anchor.
Loving
Yeah.
Life podcast.
Yeah. We have to get some more exposure before we start to rank when you search for it. So
So we get people to subscribe and we'll get
yeah.
Right,
Please subscribe.
Tyler.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nailed
Okay.
it. Plug all that.
Yeah.
But back to the one and only. So he's been a service tech for how long now?
3, almost 4 years.
And we were blessed to have him come join our team.
Only 4 years? Really?
Yeah, I have a lot of trainings I've done
Okay.
with the previous company I was with. I've done everything from residential and then commercial and even some VRF, which is you can do
Another level.
residential and commercial on it.
I would have thought you would have been like a 12-year guy, to
He's-
be honest. Like,
So like somebody that
He's smart.
I'm going to tell
pretty
you, like,
impressive.
there's different levels of technicians. So a lot of people are service techs, really good. They can take care of that homeowner, do the stuff, but like he dives even deeper. Like he, instead of just touching the surface, he dug deep to figure out what's the reason why it's working that way, knows the details about it. But why did you always dive into that?
I've always kind of been that way. I'd like to try to figure out what actually the cause was. When
Yeah.
I was a kid growing up, I used to even work on lawnmowers and try to figure out why it stopped working.
I've got a lawnmower you can work on. I'll bring it back tomorrow.
I do too. It doesn't work at all. Speaking of lawnmowers, right?
But it is another breed that does that. Like for me, when I was growing up, like I just knew how to figure it out, and I was not a good technician. And then I went to school, went through an OG&E program, and then I was like, I was all in because instead of just saying, okay, it works, I knew it was work. So that's really awesome that you brought yourself up to that level.
Now, so on technicians, don't they normally start with like duct work and trying to install before they actually do service? And did you not do that, or did you do that?
I've never done install. I've helped with installs. I've done
A little bit of duct work.
mostly, I started out doing maintenances and went that route. And then slowly I would get fed, hey, how about you go try this service call? And they're like, oh, you did awesome on it. How about you try another one? And
Right.
so forth until I gotten to where I am. I could just, a lot of times it was like I could see where it was leading, but I was verified, all the steps, sequence of operations. We always talk about it.
It's amazing. It's inspiring because like usually everybody says they can be a tech, and like he went above and beyond to find that skill and move that skill, and it's really, really awesome. I hope more technicians just dive into that to make sure they do it right.
But I do, like you said, it takes a special person to do that, because sometimes you'll have technicians that are here for 3 years and they don't learn enough to actually do the service. They'll learn enough to maybe put a system in. So it really takes a person to actually learn those things to be able to go to that next level.
So for an owner, our situation, Like, we need installers, we need service techs, but the best way to learn on the job training is that install route. A lot of companies do just you run duck. That's all you do. And then you're able to go closer to the unit and be able to do a little bit, but not to the extreme that we allow our guys do, because there's only so much you're allowed. But that's a different route, because we want to know what the basic is. Why does this connect to this, and this is how it works? Well, with him, they just taught him how to do service, because reality is he knows how to talk to customers, and that's like a red flag. Hey, you can actually have a decent conversation with anybody. Throw that man into service because you like to talk to people.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've done retail. I loved it, and I really like fixing things, and that's where I've always done really well at, was talking with people.
And see, but you get to educate people, and I think people appreciate that more, because they think, oh, you're not a salesperson. You're literally there to look at my system, figure out what's wrong with it, and then
give me
the options of what's going to be that should be fixed next. Opposed to if you see a salesperson, they're like, oh my gosh, what's about to happen? They're going to sell me a $5,000, bigger item.
They sell units for $5,000?
No, I mean like something that's more expensive than what the fix could probably be. But a system, $40,000.
Whoa,
not really that
no.
much.
And when I was in retail, it was always appliances, electronics, furniture. I didn't just try to sell somebody. I tried to always educate even on there, talk about features and benefits and show them how to use a remote for a TV or appliance, and just go over everything. And it always worked that way for me.
Man, so you changed from doing retail into doing a technical thing.
Correct.
Was that a big jump? Like, was that a change for you and your wife, where you're like, oh, you better sink or swim type deal? Or
yeah, she was very nervous about it when I very first started, because as a technician, it's just not, you just can't come in there and be like, oh, I'm a tech, I have tools. No, there's a lot more tools than just a screwdriver or a hammer that you need.
now let's side note on this. He has a lot of tools, like a lot of tools.
No.
Are you a
It fills up
Milwaukee
the
guy?
whole
though?
truck.
I am a Milwaukee
Okay,
guy.
all right. Pack outs and everything. Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
I've kept up with technology with tools. I started out, with basic gauges, and then after I learned them, I was like, you know what? I really want to step up and buy all the better stuff that gave me a lot of the information I already knew how to get. Just made it easier.
Mm-hmm.
So you like toys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as a service tech, why would you use those tools? Why is it beneficial? Here's a shameless plug. Why do you need a tune-up for your heat and air system?
What? Why would you bring this up?
Why would you bring this up?
It's season.
Because I can actually show you with my tools, even on my app, how I'm saving you money with energy costs, everything. I could actually go through and figure out how many kilowatts an hour your system's burning.
I know, I love it. I love it. And people that usually get a tune-up and they're like, oh, well, I got one cheaper for blah, blah, blah. But you don't understand the level we have to be at as a company, and he's brought himself up to be able to say that. I can tell you how efficient your system's running. I can tell you what the potential things could go wrong by spending. The equipment's not. It's very expensive. It's like $2,000 for an iManifold, or the Testos are like $1,500, something like that.
Yeah, I have the field piece, which the Job Links, and they sell individual pieces you can buy, but a basic kit's like $600, $650, and then you can add into it, and I pretty much have that whole set now.
Right.
That I've bought over the years.
And these guys, no offense to anybody that's a one-man truck or a little older, because my dad's not going to do digital, or the older guys are not going to do digital because it's a lot to learn. But if they're just going there with gauges and washing it off and touching lines saying you're good to go, you're not getting the best bang for your buck.
What's the saying? It's beer can cold. Is that what they say?
That was a different refrigerant.
Yeah, and it's even getting ready to change soon, so it's all going to change.
So we went to Linux Live. Sorry, Jessica.
No, you're good.
We went to Linux Live, and we went over that stuff, and we'll go over that in a second about how that refrigeration changed. But I just want the whole point of an AC tune-up or a heating tune-up is to make sure your system's running at 100%. Right. And as a technician, and you can't recognize that you have bad airflow, not a good filter, your coils are dirty. I mean, not knowing those steps and going through that whole system. What do we call it? Home health report card.
Correct.
Why do we say that? Is because we want the homeowner to know how they're doing. I got a question for you. This is off the
It's right off the dome. Here we go.
So at the home Linux Live, there was 3 things that homeowners want. What was the 3 things, sis?
Comfort, safety, and a little fun.
So those 3 things. So they're saying the comfort for the homeowner. Oh, I want your honest opinion about this.
Okay.
Okay, you ready for this? They were putting GoPros on the field tech's chest and handing the homeowner an iPad so they can see whatever they're looking at. So when you're doing a heating tune-up, you're looking at the furnace, you're checking the system, you're verifying what you're doing, and the homeowner has any questions, they can ask and reference that point. How does that feel?
I'd be okay with it. I mean, I have homeowners look over my shoulder all the time.
Exactly.
And I sit there and explain the whole system to them. I'll talk about it as I go step by step with them, you know.
But when you first started, you're like, don't look over, because you're so new and it's so raw, like it's so like you're still learning those steps. But somebody with your expertise or confidence, it's very easy. Put it on my chest, you can put it on my head, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to make sure this customer knows what I'm looking at. We can go through it. I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Well, but the other thing that they were saying about that as well is like it allows you to have time to coach your person as well. Now with this AI, they're allowing you to get in there and coach them with the AI. But it was just like, okay, are you really giving options to the customer that are worth the customer's time? And then you actually get to hear the way that they explain those things, because like you said, not every technician can talk to people, right? And they get real nervous. Well, because the people are not comfortable talking in front of people, what happens is they no longer educated the customer to tell them what is wrong with the system. So they're just like, it's fixed, I'm out of here, have a great day. But what about the benefits of having the tune-up, right? The AC tune-up. Well, I don't have to come back here all the time because you have a tune-up. But those things were why those things were helpful. Not only was it helpful for the customer to feel comfortable, they also felt safe. They knew that you weren't going into some room for no reason, right? Or, and then also being funny, being genuine, being the person you are. Like Clint is really funny. So if you got the time to really spend with him, he's a really sweet guy. So if you have that, that's a really good benefit. So anyway, the guy that was teaching it was kind of like, oh, on a first date, if you don't,
How would you feel about it?
It would be a little weird, but I think I could get over it.
I wouldn't even look at the video. I wouldn't care. But but some people are very like that. Like you said, they look over people's shoulder. I remember we did an install one time.
What's the main person that does it?
Over.
Do you know the main person that looks over your shoulder? There's 2
engineers.
people. One.
Engineers, and then people that are interested.
I say a little bit older crowd.
Or retired.
The more retired crowd, which is fine. But for a new tech to do it, it's hard. It is hard because you're not as confident. Like, I know that I can walk into any house and fix a problem in 5-10 minutes. Hands down. Or know the problem in 5 or 10 minutes.
So confident.
Absolutely.
He's confident.
If you're a technician, you're very confident. That's the main thing about it.
I've always tried to have a 20-minute. If I can spend 20 minutes and not figure out what's going on, I should probably start calling somebody.
Yep.
Now,
see, my man.
I don't always have those issues, but there might sometimes with me, I can't always just call Joseph because I've called him before, and then he
He's in
even gets stuck. And we go and have to call higher up tech support.
Yeah.
You know, we've had a customer recently that we've been on the phone with over and over and spent multiple weeks out there trying to figure out an issue.
It's true, especially when it comes with voltage. It's a nightmare sometimes.
But do you feel like sometimes as a customer, like, or you as a technician, like, do you feel like, oh no, this customer's going to make me, like, I don't want them to feel like I don't know what they're doing? Like, do you have like a little hesitation a little bit?
It's sometimes when I can't figure it out, I get that nervousness, but I also think about it as this is a new learning experience for me. So
He learned more about zone system in the last 2 weeks than he's ever have in the 4 years he's done work.
Sure.
But that's how that's how you have to learn as a technician. Like when the first 98% furnace came out, no one's telling us what these things are doing. Like granted, most of the home certifications that we had to get, they were like, hey, you need to add this, add this, add this. But reality is like, I spent more time taking one apart and putting it back together to figure out what's wrong with it than any class that we got to take, because I was the only one. My dad wasn't doing it, and it was just me and JC. But he was a little older then, so it was just like, your hands are stuck. Let's go do it.
Yeah. As a homeowner, for me, I would be okay with you calling technical support because I'd be like, no, they're really trying to go above and beyond. What do you think, Tim? Do you feel like...
I don't know. I'm just thinking about, I made myself look like a noob at the estimate I did earlier, because I took the furnace doors off the Rudd unit, right?
Rude.
And they're 2-piece. So I got it off, took a picture of the data plate. I couldn't get the darn thing on there. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is not good. Like,
well, you learned something
I
today.
haven't been around those units, okay?
At least you didn't short one out and then be like, Joseph, I need you to
didn't
come
touch
out.
anything else. Like, I literally just needed the data plate. That's it. But it was in a 2-piece janky thing. I'm like, oh my gosh.
wait till you hit one of those old school train systems where the doors always pop back out after you've touched
Yeah,
them.
and you have to shove them down and push them. Yeah, those are the good ones.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So just don't touch a train one.
Or just get your sales guys out there.
Yeah.
Just send me
they
out
can figure
there.
it out.
There you go.
Oh, this one's a little different, but yeah, it's all good.
Well, with the tune-ups, how do you feel this year's going to go? Because it's going to get... I mean, we're already starting.
It's first week in March and we're already 80 degrees. I mean, I've never seen it this warm in a long time. I have a feeling it's going to be a hot summer
Why do heat and air companies say that? Do you know why we say we want it hot?
because it really pushes the limits of the air conditioner. We can actually see better results of energy savings when I can washing a coil and the compressor amps drop from 15 down to 10 or 8 and put it back right where it needs to be versus...
Just letting it
A lot
run.
of
It
tentacles
also
out.
helps out with inspections too, because a lot of times your realtors will call you in for an inspection, but it's below 70 degrees, so you can't get a good rating. So that helps out.
You know what gets me is like when a homeowner has a unit that's like 20 years old and they know that it runs all day long, and they're like making it work. But if they would just purchase a new one, usually they're going to save a chunk of money because all of the energy that you're you're using whenever that system is not working properly. And then also like all the dust, like if somebody's never done a maintenance, right, for 15 years, do you recommend getting a tune-up?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the big thing about a tune-up for anybody is the unit is designed to run at 90 degrees outside, 90, 95, and be 75 in your house. Well, a lot of times in Oklahoma, it's at least 100 or 98 or something like that. So if we're pushing the limits on the unit itself and you keep it running at 70% because you didn't take care of the system, then you've already lost. Because it can only do so much. You can only force it to do so much until it breaks. When it goes above that set point, the weakest component is gonna fail. And that's why a lot of heat and air companies will advertise once it gets past 99, hey, it's 100, get your tune-up, because they know it's gonna fail because you haven't maintained it.
Got to talk about those capacitors, don't we?
Everybody, let's talk about it. You can get a cheap one, and it will last you maybe a year, right?
Correct.
But if you get one, you can tell my favorite
Turbo.
It's turbo. It has a 5-year warranty on it, and it's no hassle. I can just go trade it in, and they hand me a new one.
But it's made in America. It's made to last for those components. It will outlive a 20-year-old unit or even a brand new unit. It's just because it's designed for that start, that hard start. But we did look at something pretty cool the other day, the soft starts.
Oh yeah, putting those in for the first time. That was quite interesting. And when testing it on a regular system, and it was 40 degrees out, which I shouldn't be operating the system technically at.
Yeah.
And it started at a third of where normal. I mean, that was pretty amazing to see.
So let me
It's
kind
like
of
a jumper cable
So
thing?
let me kind of
You're
explain
putting some
this.
more in this week, just FYI, just heads up. So
So let me kind of explain. So your air conditioner outside, it basically needs, when it gets older, when it's like 10 to 15 years old, sometimes it's basically putting an EKG machine on there and shocking it to make it come on. Because the compressor that moves that refrigerant, that heart of that system, isn't moving, so it needs a little more you can say a little more shock. So we usually put hard starts on them, and what the hard start does is just gives it a good enough boost and then gets out of there so the unit can run efficiently. Well, on the newer systems, you can put these soft starts on there and lower the startup rate so that unit doesn't have to have such a massive impact on your electric bill.
yeah.
Did you know inverters actually already have built-in soft starts on them?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So you want to explain what an inverter is?
So inverter is modulating equipment. Most of them start out about 35% and then go up in 3% increments, or some that go up in 0.25% increments. It really varies on what brand, but I mean, you can be 90-degree day and only running 70% in your
Killing it.
house. And
Well, where we kind of got into the soft start thing was doing it for solar power companies, right? So they're bringing in their panels, and then they need that soft start in order to, it's not all of them though. I don't know what the parameters are on it, but not every single one of them put a soft start in.
I think it's just another added value.
They must have run into some issue though to go with the soft start, right? I mean,
I would say it's going to probably either they've looked at the systems and calculated the LRAs, which is lock rotor amps, which is that initial startup we're talking about, and figure out how much it's actually going to take off those batteries when it starts.
Because it will hit. Those lock rotor
so maybe
amps
it's
are
people
hard.
that have battery backup too, right?
Right.
Could be.
Possibly. Yeah.
Okay, could be.
I
But
mean,
not everybody does that with solar, so.
we're not engineers. We're just HVAC guys.
Next time we should get somebody that's an engineer,
Hey,
right?
let's throw them on there. So we could go down this road about talking about refrigerant. So the big change for this next year is the refrigerant is going to go to a different refrigerant, more efficient refrigerant for the environment, less global warming refrigerant is what at the end of the day is what it's
Or
called.
more.
It will reduce
Emissions
to global warming, not the ozone. So that's why we had 410A. Now we're working on helping global warming now.
GWP.
My man. So they're switching to two company. Well, everybody is switching to 454B refrigerant, which all that means is another refrigerant, and then Daikin and Manor on their own little side doing R32, which it doesn't matter. We're going to sell it either way, but reality is you're supposed to help the environment.
But aren't you going to be able to purchase the new refrigerant this year.
We should be able to. They should start running those through.
So, but what they kind of told us back, I think, is what they said is that the price is going to increase. So if you do go onto that refrigerant, understanding that there's going to be a change in the price as well.
Well, everything's always going to increase, right?
But this is a major one. So usually on a heat and air company, they usually go anywhere from 6 to 10% higher every year. Just the manufacturers go up. Well, this is going to go to 15 to 20% higher.
It's a pretty big jump.
You're just
Well,
going to
the
be
customer
like,
I saw today actually asked me about the new refrigerant. I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
Get it before-
you know?
It's coming out. So,
so the only real difference is it, not to scare anybody, it's light, flammable. Was that how they say that?
Like hairspray?
No, it's less than that. It's less than that. It's like oil.
Hairspray?
By the way, we did talk about last week the front flammable thing, and Joseph brought up Windex being flammable. It's not flammable. Just to
It's
let
not?
you know. Yeah. There's a person that shout out to us and let me know that that is
Oh,
not true.
False information. Wow.
I thought Windex was.
No.
I
I've
apologize.
never experimented.
Just an FYI.
So it's like oil. This is what they said is like oil. You can't really. It doesn't ignite. But if you put flame and igniter and that kind of stuff and oxygen, all that stuff, then it could be. So they made, for Linux anyway, a sensor that goes by the coil and allows it, if it senses it, then it blows it through the air. But it also tells the furnace it can't come on. So they have some really good stuff coming, but it just reality is something that we have to learn as a technician.
Change is wonderful.
Something new.
Something new. So I'm gonna go back to you one more time. You ready for this?
Sure.
What fills you up? And let's give a little backstory of how your vacation went, other than that one.
All
So
right.
let's go back.
What fills me up? Probably gonna have to go with family.
Okay.
I just,
You want to shout out the kiddos?
yeah, I got 4 kids. I got all sorts of ages. So I got from 21-year-old all the way down to a 6-year-old. So
And this guy looks so young.
You didn't say their names.
yeah, their names are
He's like,
Alex.
I don't know him.
Addison.
Yeah, I got that.
what's cool.
Who the doctor is.
Alex, Addison, Abel, and Amelia. And I went down in age. And then, of course, I enjoy playing golf. Me and Joseph played a couple times. He's my,
Hey.
I would call him my kryptonite. Something happens to me with him on the golf. But I just did come off a vacation, and we came off of a Disney cruise, and every one of my kids loved it, all ages. And, you know,
They have some awesome pictures, by the way.
Oh, let's go.
I really enjoyed, though, getting up in the morning before anybody was even on deck
Really?
and watching the sunrise.
Dude, that's
Let's
the best.
go.
It's the best. Yeah.
You know, drink about 2 cups of coffee at 5:30 in the morning and
Yeah.
be up there.
I always go find like a random nook and then bring a book with me and just sit there for hours.
Oh,
On a
yeah.
cruise?
Yes.
know
Yeah,
this
I wanna
man
be
went on a
left
cruise.
alone.
Okay.
Be left alone.
How many cruises have you been on?
2.
Okay, so
Side
got
note.
it.
I have a picture of it looks like a pirate ship, but it's old-timey sailboat, but it's actually another cruise line.
Oh.
And it looked at night, or in the morning because it was still dark, but you could see the silhouette of it, and it looked like it was a pirate ship. So I told my kids when I showed them the picture, I
There's
saw
a
a pirate ship.
That's awesome.
And they love that.
Yeah.
And it happened to be pirate night that night too. So that worked out awesome.
Perfect.
Nice.
So Jessica used to work on cruise lines. Do you miss it a little bit?
Sometimes I just don't like to be on. We had to be on it for so long, like 9, 10, 11 months. It was just a 6-month.
One ship? That long?
Yeah,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
never get off of
Oh
it.
my
I mean, you
God.
get off and do just like what the tourists do, but you can't ever come home.
Oh.
You didn't know that?
No, that's a long time.
So
Well, my first one was 11 months, but that was a lot of craziness. But yeah,
Golly.
See, I talked to a lot of
crazy.
the crew members because just from talking to you about that, and a lot of them were telling me their contracts are 5 months is what Disney actually does for them.
yeah.
And then they make them take 7 weeks of vacation before they can get back on.
Oh,
What?
Carnival Cruise Lines doesn't.
Did not
They
do
let
that.
you do whatever you want. You want to go back
You
to
go
the
grind
next
it?
ship?
You wanna
go
grind
ahead,
it
go
out,
ahead, go
boy.
to the next one. But I did do a couple that were only 6 months, but that was still the smallest ones that we had. That's
That's
crazy.
a long time.
Yeah.
I did not think that. I thought it would be like a month. You know, a month
you
on.
never
But you just
leave.
imagine you got to train all these people to do that same dance at that level all the time, and you can't just be like, "Oh, let's rotate another person in. Let's see how it goes," because they got to learn everything over again.
Did it become boring though?
Boring? I don't know. I mean,
You're a performer, like
I enjoyed that, but the only thing is that I'd only work 2 nights a week, and I'd only do two performances that night, and then you literally did whatever you wanted. You got to watch the comedy shows. You got to go to the disco all the time.
I feel like I'd rather be busy for the rest of the time though.
But I mean,
You know what
just
I mean?
think about it. Like she got to go work out
I worked
every single
out
day,
2 times a day.
Like
People
she-
fed you. I mean, it was pretty crazy.
People fed you,
I missed
right?
it because I like
Oh yeah,
performing.
it was amazing food. I actually tried escargot for the first time. It was
Sorry, everybody.
It was amazing.
It's so chewy. It's so nasty.
What is it? What is
Escargot,
Escargot.
snails.
Snails.
Oh, how you doing?
You need to.
Anything.
So, all right. Well, at the end of the day, I'm glad everybody's here. Thank you for coming. Thanks for being part of our team.
Well, thank you for letting me be part of your team.
Well, at
He's
the end
the
of the day,
best.
love and life. Thank you all. Have a good one.
Love it.